What's going on YouTube? It's your boy K. Ready to come back to another video here, man. I'm really here to talk about like the new Dead by Daylight update. Really just the killer for this video. I just want to get like my thoughts out for the new killer. So we have like the new killer in this update. The killer is the Dredge. I ain't gonna lie, the devs really did put a lot of work into this one, you know. Like its killer is very different from the others in terms of looks. Definitely a lot of thought went into this. So shout out to the devs for actually, you know, like it was actually like one, like, because this is their own update. It's not like one of those like Resident Evil type chapters or the Ringu or like, you know, it's because I'm talking about the ones that they're like they had the license in the game. Like it's one of their own original chapters. So the new killer, the Dredge, it has like this power they had. I don't know if it's called the Reign of Darkness or the Glooming or something, or Gloaming. I don't know. It's something like that. And I'm not really too sure how, like, I think it's called the Reign of Darkness, and then it has the Gloaming, and so like I'm not really sure how that works, but it has this power. So the killer can activate the Gloaming, which is his special ability, and it leaves behind a remnant. The remnant is like something it could teleport back to. Really, it's kind of like it's like a floating shadow basically, or something like that. Like if you've seen it, you've seen it. And so like I said, like he could like leave it on the map anywhere, and he could like teleport back to it. And like once he like I guess spawns the remnant, he moves slower though, so like you don't move as fast, but like you could leave it that shit anywhere on the map and teleport back to it. And the survivor can counter it. The remnant, all they do is really have to run into it or touch it, whatever, walk into it, run into it. But you can kind of use it, the killer, if you kind of use it to anti-loot. And so you start the trial with 3 tokens as his killer, and so every time you teleport, you use one of the tokens. And so I guess like if you teleport and then you exit a locker, you have a cooldown for the ability, the Gloaming or the remnant. I don't know, you have a cooldown that has a 12-second cooldown, and then all your tokens are replenished after the 12 seconds. So like there's a cooldown to the ability you can use when you're teleporting around the map, which I think is fair. Like there should be a cooldown when you're using, you just can't keep teleporting all the time. So there's another ability to this killer. It's called Nightfall. So whenever it says a healthy survivor is injured, the survivor is hooked, the Dredge uses teleportation, the Nightfall meter builds up, and it says the Nightfall meter feels faster for each survivor in the injured state. And once the meter is full, the Nightfall begins automatic. And so like the whole map turns into like this like damn near complete darkness. The Nightfall only lasts for 60 seconds. I don't know how the add-ons work. Maybe an add-on can make the Nightfall longer or stuff like that. I don't know what the add-ons are yet. Survivors can reduce the time of the Nightfall by destroying the remnant. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's when the killer spawns a remnant, that's the only way I think they can destroy it. So, but when Nightfall like happens, the Dredge does get like, I guess like some special perks for it, and the cooldown of like, I guess the Gloaming or remnant or whatever, I'm pretty sure it's the Gloaming, it has a shorter cooldown by 8 seconds, so it goes from 12 seconds to 4 seconds. And then it also grants you the undetectable status effect. Also wanted to talk about the new killer perks that they are bringing to the game. So the Dredge has these 3 perks. One is Dissolution. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that word, Dissolution. I'm gonna go with that. So the perk is, so 3 seconds after injuring a survivor by any means, Dissolution activates for 12, 16, or 20 seconds. While the perk is active, if any survivor fast volts over a pallet while in your terror radius, the entity will break the pallet. So that is actually a good strong perk, because if a survivor is looping one area and there's a pallet there that's already a down pallet and they fast roll over it, it breaks automatically. And so running this, I don't know, like I don't know if you could run this with a build as a killer. I don't know how effective it would be if running Dissolution or the Brutal Strength. I don't know, maybe Enduring and maybe Spirit Fury. I don't know how effective that build would be, but that's like the pallet build, the killer pallet build. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there'll be some other more useful builds in them when I just named, but I don't know, maybe that could run well with some other perks. But I think it's a pretty good perk for a killer. There's also Darkness Revealed. When you search a locker, the auras of all survivors within 8 meters of the locker will be revealed to you for 3, 4, or 5 seconds, depending on what tier perk you're running. It has a cooldown of 30 seconds, but I don't, this perk doesn't seem to me like that strong. I don't know, like if you want to be searching lockers, then yeah, go ahead, but I don't see it really being that useful, because checking lockers is, I know, it's really a waste of time. But I don't know, maybe whatever perk build you're running might be useful, but to be honest, I don't see it as a strong perk. perk. I don't think people run it as much. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see people running that perk. I think that this perk would be better suited for maybe a trickster or a huntress, because when they have to go reload their knives or hatchets, they have to go into the locker. And so when you're doing this, you'll see the auras of the survivors within 8 meters of any locker. So I think that this would be better suited for those two killers. Maybe it might be suited well for Dredge. I don't know. We'll have to see how this killer comes down along the road, but I feel it might be better suited for a trickster and a huntress. Then there's septic touch. Whenever a survivor performs a healing action while they're inside your terror radius, so the survivor suffers from the blindness and exhausted status effects. These effects linger for 6, 7, or 8 seconds depending on what build you have. What tier the perk is. The effects linger for 6, 7, 8 seconds after the healing action is interrupted by any means. So putting any survivor into the exhausted state, that is a pretty good perk. I am gonna hold because most people run dead hard as an exhaustion perk, and there are a lot of exhaustion perks on the survivor's end which this could really affect. So I don't know. I mean, there's only one perk that can negate this, which is adrenaline, and so but that's only one perk out of exhaustion perks. But I don't know, like I said, putting any survivor into the exhausted state is pretty good. Blindness is I mean, it's okay, but it's not as good as putting a survivor into the exhausted state. So I don't know, this seems like an alright perk. I ain't gonna lie, it's an alright perk. I don't think it's as good as dissolution, but it seems like that is a pretty good perk. And so after like really learning all this about the killer, like I've seen like I saw the Dead by Daylight stream they had, and just like reading online about the stuff, like I saw some gameplay on it, and so like this is really my thoughts on it now. So when I see the killer, I feel like just automatically the killer from its power and stuff like that, it can counter DS, desperate measures, flashbang, inner healing, and head on. If you don't know how each one of those, I guess actually I don't even think that this can even counter DS anymore. Well, not anymore. I don't think I thought it would, but I don't think it can. So the reason why I was thinking it can counter DS is because you know how survivors hop into a locker so that the killers will have to grab them, and so they can automatically activate their DS. I was thinking that if the killer just teleports into the locker, they can just take them out and whatever, and just have that like DS wouldn't activate. But DS should still activate because I think once you're coming out the locker, DS will still activate. I'm not too sure. I haven't seen it yet, but I thought it would be a counter to it, but I don't know. I don't think it will. Maybe behavior will look into it and make it a counter. I don't know, because DS is pretty strong. But the other perks, they should be direct counters, to be honest. Because desperate measures, you need to go into the locker to refill your, I guess, item. Oh my gosh, I was saying desperate measures the whole time. I really meant build to last. It was one of Felix's perk, and I was thinking of the wrong perk. I was thinking of build to last, but I kept saying desperate measures, so I really meant build to last. But so I'm saying, but this killer I think can counter build to last, because the survivor needs to hop back into the locker to know to refill their item. So if the killer teleports into that locker that you're in, it's kind of wraps. Because as a survivor, you need to hop into that locker for like 12 to 14 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's like if you like working on a gen or something like that, I'm like, oh, let me refill this toolbox or something like that, and you hop into there and that killer teleports to the locker that you're in. Damn, that's gonna be chips, man. That's gonna be chips. Same thing with flashbang. You need to enter the locker to create the flashbang. I don't know how long you need to be in the locker for to create the flashbang. I don't think it's as long for like as built to last, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there will be a survivor that gets caught trying to make a flashbang by the Dredge when they're going into the locker. Same thing with inner healing. Like once you cleanse that totem, whatever, so you could then hide in lockers, you have to be in there for like 10 to 8 seconds depending on what tier perk you have, and so you can get caught in a locker trying to heal yourself up. And so it's kind of like, damn, so really going into a locker with inner healing, you could get caught. You can get caught, especially if the killer's running some type of aura reading perk and sees that. I'm just saying, you can get caught with inner healing too. And then head on, I think it's more on the survivor to get caught on this, like, because like if you're trying to head on the Dredge, like, and they know you're in that locker and they play it off like as like they don't know and then teleport to that locker, you really played yourself as a survivor. You played yourself. And also seeing this killer, just watching some of the gameplay, it looks harder, like one of the harder killers to flashlight. Say like somebody or blind them. Because I know the Unryoi, or from the Ringo chapter, I don't know how to pronounce that killer's name. I gotta find out how to pronounce that killer's name. I think it's Unryoi. That one, that killer looked well, that killer is hard to flashlight IMO. And so this one I seen gameplay, and this one does look pretty hard too, because like I don't even know where their face is at. I don't. It looks so weird. Like it's just like the way that it was designed, it just looks weird. And like I don't know how to flashlight this one. I'm like, it's gonna be kind of difficult. Another thought that came to me with this killer, I'm like, I think, like, I really do believe that this killer can mind game with the remnant. And so I think there'll be some pretty good chases like in loops and stuff like that. Instead of just like moonwalking and stuff like that, I think using the remnant power, that can create some good mind games with the killer and the survivor. And so like I did mention earlier that the killer can kind of anti-loop, stop a survivor from looping. I mean, so it counters looping, I guess, but the survivor can also counter that counter just by running into the remnant. And so that's kind of good gameplay. You know, the killer has a counter, you can counter that counter. So I think it's pretty good in my opinion. And just like seeing this killer also, I don't think the killer is overpowered. I think it's more towards like the middle, like moderate, like well balanced. So it looks good to me. I haven't heard any complaints from the community either. So like I said, I don't have any complaints about this killer. Like it looks like a good chapter so far. And so with the new killer's teleport ability, there are locks on lockers now. I don't know if it's only going to show for this killer when it's played, or if it's just going to show for like every time on the map. I'm really not too sure, but I know that once you lock that locker, the killer can break that lock. They can break it from the inside if they teleport into the locker. And I also read that they can break it from the outside. I'm not too sure about that, but that's what I did read. So I read that they can break it from the outside too. They can break it just by doing like a basic attack on it. But once that lock is broken, you can't, like as a survivor, you can't like relock it because the lock is broken for the whole match too. So it only can be locked once. And to be honest, I don't think that is fair. I think it's very more killer sided, like because like that one time is only going to save you a couple of seconds maybe to get away from wherever you were, if you were on a generator or something like that. I think that the lock should have like a cooldown on it when you can lock it again, when like a killer breaks out of the locker or something like that. I feel like it should have a cooldown when you could like relock it again. That's just my opinion. Because it's like just one time, like you might as well not lock the locker, to be honest. Like if it's just one thing, it's kind of like it feels real gimmicky at that point if it's just only one time. And if it's a cooldown, maybe it should have like a minute cooldown or something like that. I don't know. Like I feel like there should be a cooldown on it. That's just my opinion. Like say you're doing a generator in Shack, and then there's no locks on the locker, and there's 2 lockers in there and there's no locks, and like that killer teleports to there, like it's kind of a wrap for you, man. Like you're not gonna have much to do, especially if that palace down. Like you still got window, I guess, but if they teleport into the locker while you're on that generator and Shack, kind of SOL, man. It's kind of SOL. And I do believe that this killer could be a good basement, I guess, killer. Like they can play the basement well if they get those hooks down. If they get hooks down in the basement. To be honest, all you do is gotta bring that offering to for the Shack. I mean the hook to spawn in the basement, and like you can just start this killer play. So like say you're the Dredge and you hook a survivor in the basement, and then another survivor comes to take them off. You could teleport to that locker up. I wouldn't teleport to the ones downstairs. I would teleport to the ones upstairs, and then because you get that notification when that survivor is unhooked, you teleport to that locker and you got both survivors right there, one injured, one in a healthy state, maybe both injured for all we know. But what makes it even like I said better, because if you're running make your choice, that could be a free down for you right there. Like especially like if the person that unhooked was running borrowed time, like if you're a killer, depending on how you play your playstyle, you're either going for the one that got unhooked, or you're going for the one that did the unhooking. And if you make your choice, that's a free down right there, and that's another free hook if you just teleport to that locker upstairs. Once they're coming upstairs, I'm just saying that's a free down. That is a free down. So I really think that will be strong. If you're going against Dredge, I would not get hooked in the basement. I would not get hooked down there. Even if they lock the locker, that ain't gonna stop you for that long. I mean, you could run Monster Shrine too, but I don't really think you need to. Like I don't like, it wouldn't be like you can, like I guess, but because you're playing a basement game, but I don't really think you need to at that point, to be honest. You could run territorial presence, but you already get that notification when you like the survivor does it unhooking, so I don't really think you need to run it. Like yeah, you'll know when they go down there, I guess. I mean, you could run it. Like I said, I don't think it's necessary at all to run that though. Like, but if you want to, go ahead. And I know this killer relies heavily on lockers, lockers, just like I guess Huntress and Trickster do. I don't think you will need to run Iron Maiden, to be honest, because I think when you're playing the survivor and I mean, like as a survivor going against his killer, I don't think they're going to want to hop into lockers with this killer. So I wouldn't know if you really want to run Iron Maiden. Like if you did and they were going into lockers, I mean, you could teleport to that locker, and then if they're out, you already have their aura real quick, get a free down. Like I said, I don't think it would be necessary, because I don't believe survivors would be going into lockers knowing this killer could teleport into lockers. The killer pretty good overall. Like I don't see him being overpowered. We'll see more. I mean, the PTB's out now. I guess we'll see more by the end of it. We'll see more when the actual chapter comes to, I guess, all consoles or all platforms. But no, I think the killer looks pretty good. Well, he looks weird, to be honest. But you could tell that there was a lot of time and thought put into this, because they said it was supposed to be something like the Boogeyman, and so I guess it's their take on the Boogeyman. So pretty good overall. That's just my quick thoughts on the killer. If you haven't already, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, because YouTube always does recommend when I upload. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, because I do be on there also. And until next time, it's your boy NK Rudy signing off.
No back up. If a nigga act up, then he getting clapped up, yeah. Tell your bitch to back up. She just wanna chill. She just wanna split my pack up, yeah.